Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. I'm here, I'm live in London doing our nighttime devotion. The devotional is called Conflict and Courage. The title today, Jeremiah, God's Mouthpiece. Lamentations 3:26 reads, "It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord." Among those who had hoped for a permanent spiritual revival as the result of the reformation under Josiah was Jeremiah, called of God to the prophetic office while still a youth. In the youthful Jeremiah, God saw one who would be true to his trust and who would stand for the right against great opposition. "Say not, I am a child," the Lord bade his chosen messenger, "for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee." For 40 years, Jeremiah was to stand before the nation as a witness for truth and righteousness. In a time of unparalleled apostasy, he was to exemplify in life and character the worship of the only true God. During the terrible sieges of Jerusalem, he was to be the mouthpiece of Jehovah. Naturally, of a timid and shrinking disposition, Jeremiah longed for the peace and quiet of a life of retirement, where he need not witness the continued impenitence of his beloved nation. His heart was wrung with anguish over the ruin wrought by sin. The experiences through which Jeremiah passed in the days of his youth, and also in the later years of his ministry, taught him the lesson that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. He learned to pray, "O Lord, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing." When called to drink of the cup of tribulation and sorrow, and when tempted in his misery to say, "My strength and my hope is perished from the Lord," he recalled the providences of God in his behalf and triumphantly exclaimed, "It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul, therefore will I hope in him." Jeremiah, God's mouthpiece. From a young man, I don't know exactly how young, but from a very young man, God called him to do his will. And it says for 40 years, Jeremiah was to stand before the nation as a witness. God used him for 40 years. Was it longer? I don't know. The book of Jeremiah is fairly limited, giving information about his life, but the work he did, he did a lot. He did do a lot. He was instrumental in a lot of the history of Israel. Jeremiah, when a few years after I became a Christian, I'd read the Bible. God called me to read his Bible word for word, cover to cover, 3 times. And I read the Bible cover to cover from start to finish, Genesis to Revelation. And then one day God gave me a dream. Well, not a dream. He spoke to me. He gave me a scripture, and it said Jeremiah 13:8. And it was simple. It says, the word of the Lord will come to you. When you read the Bible, it stays up here in your memory. You might not have it here in your conscious memory where you make your decisions and everything, but when he guides you to read his word, he wants you to have it in your head. So at the time, when the time comes that you are confronted and you require a word of the Lord, you've got it in your head already for him to then bring it to your mind so you can use it in whatever situation you're in. Trust him, as Jeremiah did, as Isaiah did, as Elijah did, as Elisha did. Trust him, and he can work in your life too.